Ben Roethlisberger, 07.
Love you, Ben.
Love
Thank
you,
you,
Ben.
Sev.
Love you, Seven.
He has a podcast in which he is basically just a Pittsburgh dad at this point.
Yeah, he's just a fan.
He's
really
just standard Yinzer, Pittsburgh dad, fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Awesome.
And everything he says is obviously going to get heard by everybody because he's Ben Roethlisberger. He was a guy who has brought a lot of happiness to the city of Pittsburgh, showed up every single week for the city of Pittsburgh. Sure, he was not perfect, but the city of Pittsburgh watched him literally grow from being a college kid to a full-grown adult who has have everything in between with a family and everything. He is beloved in Pittsburgh. That just needs to be known. Everywhere else. I don't know if that is known. Still lives in the area. This footballing podcast that he does is listened to by everybody in Pittsburgh. He said some real shit on this last one about the state of the Pittsburgh Steelers. We have 2 clips. The first one's a little bit longer than the second one, but listen to his take here from the most recent footballing podcast about the state of the current Pittsburgh Steelers.
When I left, I was kind of the last guard there, obviously. Like, Pouncey left the year before, Dave left. Like, those guys left, and it was like I was the last one. There was such an age gap for me and everybody else on offense that there just wasn't that Steeler tradition passed down. And you have it on defense, don't get me wrong, but you don't have it on offense right now, and it's just making it really hard. You're not seeing, in my opinion, the toughness on offense. And I say toughness in the sense of a Steeler toughness. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with like okay, this guy's soft or anything. Like, Who's grabbing someone by the face mask and being like, Yeah. That's not what we do. That's not what we do.
Hell yeah.
Spence.
Is that happening? And yes, again, you have guys on defense doing it, but you need guys on both sides of the ball doing it, because when you're in offensive meetings, when you're in offensive huddles, when you're doing that, you're meeting separately. You need someone to stand up in that room on offense and be like,
I don't got him.
Hey, this isn't what it means to wear the black and gold. This isn't what has been handed down from those teams in the 70s.
Teams in the 70s,
Steel
that's a long time
Curtin,
ago.
the 4 Super Bowls, the Knowles, the Bradshaws, all those people. It's unbelievable.
It's 50 years, Chuck.
And listen, I understand the further you get away from that, the harder it is.
Sure.
I get that. And
unless
at some
it's being
point,
carried.
Unless it's being passed
Shout out
down and carried
Spencer.
away.
Spencer's spot on right there. He knows
Spank.
exactly. But that is literally how Pittsburgh Steelers fans view the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's like, hey, we're a tough team. And the reason why we're a tough team and we're not an embarrassing team or an immature team or a team that bitches and all that type of stuff is because my father's Pittsburgh Steelers team was like that. And my father's Pittsburgh Steelers team was like that. This has been what football has been in this city since I'm yay big. You look around the city, you see the people that are there, hardworking people. Love to have a drink or 10.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely love to have a drink or 10. Loyal people, passionate people. It's like the Steelers represented the town in which they were playing for more so than maybe anybody else in the entire country. So whenever you hear Ben Roethlisberger talk about how serious they took that in the locker room, it makes a lot of Yinzers go 6 to midnight listening to Ben speak their mind about what's happening right now. And the fact that they mentioned the 70s, they're like, yeah, this has been passed down from the 70s in there. They're the most university college-like team in the NFL, where alumni just walk back in the building and it's just like, yeah, this is how it is. They actually have the same titles for plays on the defensive side and the offensive side, so that when alumni come back, they can talk to the current players about plays that they actually ran back in the 90s, back in the 80s, in the early 2000s. There's like a real tradition. Now, they've only had 3 coaches in the last 50 years as well, so that certainly helps with it all. But what Ben Roethlisberger says in his short clip is the worst fear for all the people in Pittsburgh, and it feels like the nightmare has become a potential reality for Yinzers. That this team ain't going to be the team you've seen for the last 50 years of football.
Maybe the tradition of the Pittsburgh Steelers is done. Maybe it needs to be formed in a new kind of way. I don't know.
Oh no!
Benny.
How do you say that?
Well,
What?
he's just,
What do you mean, Chuck?
He's just watching.
That's right.
He's just watching. He is a Yinzer dad that he lives in Pittsburgh.
That's it.
Loves the Steelers and watches the Steelers. Tone Diggs, I assume everybody has heard this. Have you had discussions with your little "we'll take a bullet for the Steelers" group that you have?
Yep.
And what was the reaction to Ben saying this? And basically saying the thing that all the fans have been saying.
Yep.
but from a much different perspective because he was in that locker room for, 18 years or whatever it was for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, the we'll take a bullet for the Steelers group will still always take a bullet for the Steelers. Now, will they take a bullet for, the players in the organization right now? I don't know about that because they used to.
Oh, geez.
Or the coach? I don't think so, but they would used to.
Jeez.
Or the coach.
because that's how it carries over. Like he talked about the 70s to the 90s to up until 2017, it was always the coach that kind of carried it over, and there was players that held over. But Ryan Clark said the same thing the other day on this show. I know if those dudes went back in the locker room today, and they would probably just throw up everywhere because of how disgusting it's become.
Okay.
I mean, you could see it. You could tell. Everyone could see it. I mean, it's gone. It's done, and there needs to be wholesale changes to fix it.
Jeez, Tone obviously has been feeling this way for a while. He dressed up as the devil.
Yep.
Well, I'm sorry, Matt Canada,
Right.
Yeah, Matt
who
Canada.
happened to have red skin and
Sunburn.
a
Couple
horns, as
yep,
if he was the devil. Chuck, you hear that? Tomlin has to be hearing this stuff as well, especially when Ben Roethlisberger's saying it, because how much success Tomlin and Ben had together.
You went
and
against him a lot, Chuck?
How high respect, and we did not. I mean, Jim Irsay needs to pipe down.
Yeah. Well, he's got a point.
Jim Irsay, I love everything that Jim says.
Sure.
But we don't need in the kickoff announcement of the Steelers Colts game, first Saturday schedule of the NFL year, 4:30 game, say, let's just talk about the elephant in the room. It wasn't in a room.
No.
Jim, nobody was talking about this particular elephant. The room was empty, okay, until you threw it in the middle. He got a 757, put a bunch of things around an elephant, and flew it right in the middle of the room with this particular tweet right here. We are 6-26 all time against the Pittsburgh Steelers, going all the way back to 1957.
I would have never known that.
Well, I would have.
We were there for a long time too. I never knew. I knew we lost a few games, but
A few, Chuck?
Few.
I'm
26
just
of them.
saying I didn't know it was this.
Well, no, I mean, there has been a win since 08. Were you there past 08?
Well, we contributed to the
I just told you,
26, okay?
Tony.
Shut up, Tone.
Jesus.
We're trying to.
I mean, he
we-
threw the best pass ever.
Thank you.
Against these guys.
Thursday
Thank you.
night.
Gave us a chance.
Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Schwopster.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity to do that and letting Tom McMahon call that. We drew it up on a napkin the day of, so that was the least prepared one we've ever had. So I appreciate you, Chuck. You're the man for
Not
that.
for the hair. We'd have had a fake field goal, but Troy ruined that one.
Of course.
A lot of shit between these two.
Those were good old days. That field goal would have worked 17 out of 17 times today.
But I would. Oh yeah, I'm walking
point.
right in.
Walking it.
Yeah.
Right. Now, Minka might have read my energy a little bit. Who
Minka,
knows?
yeah.
And Cam Hayward's head might have been able to do it, but Troy Polamalu obviously had that sixth sense on the field. People say Ike Taylor told us that Jesus Christ actually talked through Troy Polamalu. That's why he was able to guess what everybody was going to be doing there. But I think we all would have assumed that Peyton and the boys would have won more than 6 times. I don't think anybody knows that this is this lopsided.
Yeah.
Until the owner of lopsided against team is like, did you know we stink against this team? Anyways, Jim, keep firing it. Keep spinning it, Jim. I appreciate it. And being a guy from Pittsburgh who played for the Colts, obviously this particular tweet was not great for my text messages. Hey, I don't know if you saw a lot of. I don't know if you saw, but anyways, Mike Tallman, he hears this. The team definitely hears this, and when it's coming from somebody that used to be in the building, I think that hits even more. And Cam Hayward, I think he's probably addressed things that Ben Roethlisberger has already said in the past. And I think that's why Ben said on the offensive side is what I'm referring to as opposed to the defensive
You
side.
notice he stayed clear.
Yeah, he
on
did.
the other side.
And I will too, because Cam Hayward actually said to me, like, hey, Pat McAfee's overreacting a little bit. It's like, all right, hey, listen.
At
you're
one
right.
point, Ben did say Cam, Minka, and TJ, obviously, are defensive leaders.
In the same exact show or whatever. But what does Tomlin say to the team, more specifically the offensive side, that from Ben Roethlisberger mean something, or does he just try to keep it out of there on a short week? We're playing on Saturday instead of
Why
Sunday?
are you going to address that? I mean, the first thing I'd do is pick up the phone and you need to come down there and have a sit down with Ben.
Ooh.
Who's that?
Tomlin.
Get him back on the field.
Got it.
And I don't know how much. Is he in the building? Is he around there all the time?
No, but he's around.
He finally went to one game, right? He's been to one game.
Oh, sounds like
Jeez, Chuck.
sounds like you're saying, hey,
No,
Ben, we don't need
Chuck,
more
you say this-
problems.
Look,
Chuck, you
if
saying
you're
the
here
Steelers are
on
the
the
same?
day to day, if you're here, Wednesday, Thursday, you're at practice, you're this, you're that, you're hanging out, you got a feel for our locker room, you got a feel for our guys, you know exactly what's going. I mean, it's easy for all of us to sit back and look. It's a dumpster. We need a quarterback. One thing that if you have a quarterback, he's not saying shit. Nobody's saying nothing. You're winning football games with this football team.
And if you don't have a quarterback.
And if you don't have a quarterback, I don't care what level. We all know that. It's really hard, right, Con?
Oh, yeah. They're exactly.
Oh, hey, I like that. Deflect over to the Patriots.
Well, no,
They're
but
the same situation.
It's real, yeah. Like I've told Tony and Nick, like, hey, the Steelers are just a year behind the Patriots. And my worry, or not my worry, because I don't really give a shit what happens to the Steelers, but what Tony
aren't
should
you
be
so cool?
Well, what Tony should be worried about, and this is something that I was worried about around week 6, 7, is like, are the Steelers ever going to be a team that loses this many games? Like, it's you can make the argument they won't because of guys like TJ and Cam and Minka. Like, those guys aren't going to lose 12 games. They just won't. Whereas New England, like going into this year, it was, if Mac doesn't play and he can't score, if Malik Cunningham comes in, then we're going to be 500 forever. That's where a lot of Patriots fans were, and that is like what the Patriots were last year is what the Steelers are this year. It's the exact same thing.